Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, Jesus and Coffee Conversations. Thank you for joining me today. It's Sunday, September 11th. It's my best friend's birthday, so if you're watching this, happy birthday again, girl. To my new subscribers, hello, welcome, thank you for subscribing. And to those of you who have already been a part of the Jesus and Coffee Conversations family, hello and welcome back. Today, y'all, I am going to be talking to you about red flags in a relationship, okay? So I have 10 of them, and I'm going to tell you what they are and go into detail about all of them, okay? To help you guys out. So I'm gonna take a sip of this real quick. Okay, and then we're gonna get started. So, let me do some light housekeeping stuff, okay? So follow me on Instagram. I always say that Jesus Coffee _ conversations. I have something now where I am going live called Late Night Conversations, Late Night Conversations with Jay. And basically they start at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. My first one was last Friday, I believe. And I was on there and I talked about how the devil wants to derail the plans God has for your life. I'm thinking about extending the lives to YouTube so that I'm live on YouTube and Instagram at the same time. So one will be on my phone, the other will be on my computer. I do not have a community tab on YouTube where I can type and tell you guys what's going on. I think they want you to have like 1,000 subscribers or something for that. So I'm unable to tell you, hey, I'm going live tonight, or things of that nature. So that's why I say follow me on Instagram, because I can always like type and say stuff on there. And y'all, I'm almost at 500 subscribers. I'm at 346. I need like 100 or something more. Y'all, please share my videos. Tell people to subscribe. Try to get me at 500 subscribers by the end of September. I would love to keep this channel growing. Again, thank you so much to all of you who have already subscribed, and thank you for your support and your encouragement and all of that. I'm trying to think if I have anything else. I'm back on Facebook, y'all. My other Facebook account got hacked, and I have my Jesus and Coffee Conversations connected to my personal, so I was locked out. Like, I was unable to, like, I had no control over any of my accounts, okay? It was a hassle trying to get my stuff back straight. It's still not back straight. I had to create new accounts. So I have a brand new Jesus and Coffee Conversations account on Facebook. It's called The Real Jesus and Coffee Conversations. So if you're on Facebook, you can follow me there. So I think that's everything. That's all the highlights. If you hear the TV on, I have it on for background noise. I know my dog likes to bark. I have my natural lighting going on, but I had to close the blinds because she saw somebody walking and she started barking, and I'm trying to minimize that for this video. But if she does start barking, y'all just ignore her, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So relationship red flag number 1, and they're not in any kind of order, so I'm not saying like this definitely needs to be number 1 or this definitely needs to be number 5. It's just how I voted out, okay? So number 1, if they say I'm spiritual, that needs to be a deal breaker pretty much, because if they have no real relationship with God and there's no visible fruit, evidence of them having a real relationship with God, it's not gonna work, okay? So you need to ask questions. What do you mean by you're spiritual? Because the devil and demons are spirits. Are you new age? Like, are you burning sage? You praying to the universe? Like, do you pray to trees and flowers? Like, what exactly do you mean by spiritual? You need to have a solid understanding of what they mean when they say they're spiritual, because being spiritual can mean a whole lot of different things. Witches consider themselves to be spiritual. So you need to ask questions and not just sit there and say, oh, okay, and then just go on. No, you need to ask questions. That's your time to say, well, tell me more about that. Like, what does that look like for you? Because you need to know if your light has no fellowship with darkness. So if you're saved and they talking about they prayed to a tree, they're worshiping the creation instead of the creator. And that is not going to work, okay? And you have some church folks that say they're spiritual. Oh, well, I'm spiritual, meaning that like I go to church, or Okay, you going to church does not make you saved, just like you sitting in your garage doesn't make you a car. So you need to get a lot of details about what they mean when they say they're spiritual. And again, like I said, if they already have no evidence of having a relationship with Jesus Christ, you don't need to be talking to them anymore in the first place. That just needs to be your last date. Okay. Number two, they have a history, and I have my notebook here so I don't forget anything. So, number two, if they have a history of cheating, lying, stealing, etc. Okay, if they have a history of it. Now, I'm not saying if they one time slipped up and they cheated, or one time they slipped up and they stole something. That's different. If they have a repeated pattern, a list that shows, hey, every single relationship I've been in, I've cheated, or I lied, or I did X, Y, Z. If they have a history of that, that's a red flag. You need to pay attention to it. And again, you probably need to just go ahead and say that's the end of this, okay? Number three, they have no good relationship with their, I would say it could go both ways, but I'm going to say more so for women. If this man has no good relationship with his mom, sisters, or any other female in his life, that is a huge red flag. Men, if she has no real relationship with her dad or the men in her life, that's a red flag. Because if they're rude and disrespectful to their mom or their dad or their brothers or their sisters, they're going to be rude and disrespectful to you too. I had a guy tell me that if I'm talking to a man and he has no good relationship with his mom and other women in his life, it's not going to work. If he has no problem calling his mom out her name, you're not special. It's not gonna be too long before he's calling you out of yours. So if the relationships that he has in his life are not fruitful and they're not solid, good relationships, that's a red flag, and you really need to pay attention to it. Now, you're not gonna know because you're gonna have to date a while. So maybe he introduces you to like his family and stuff like 3 months in, okay? You need to pay attention to that. Even before you meet the family, have conversations about his mom and his sisters if he has them, okay? And see how he talks about them. Does his face light up when he talks about them? And, he's saying like how they were very supportive and they always been there for him and, all of that? Or is it more so like we don't have a relationship? Or they are, right? Like I can't be around too long, or if it's, pay attention. Just pay attention, because like I said, if he's bad-mouthing his mama and sisters and them, trust me, he's going to do the same thing to you, okay? Number four, he has a hard time keeping jobs and has no financial stability. Now, for me personally, money is not everything. I'm not the kind of woman that's like, oh, you have to make 6 figures. You have to be able to buy me a Bentley. Like, I'm not that kind of woman. I understand money comes and goes. I understand hard times come. Like, I'm not even gonna get started with these prices with gas and food and all this stuff. I understand things happen. People lose money. People get money, okay? But if he is 38 and he's still struggling to keep a job, that is a huge red flag. It's one thing if y'all in your 20s, okay, your 20s is for making mistakes and, learning your lessons and growing and all that stuff. But by the time you hit 30, you should have yourself together. Especially if you pushing 40, you definitely need to have yourself together. So if he is still struggling, can't hold a job, and he's 38 or older, huge red flag. If he has no financial stability, huge red flag. You need to pay attention to that, because if he can barely support himself, how in the world is he going to support you and your children when you have them? So that's something you need to pay attention to. And again, I'm not saying he has to make 6 figures and all of that, but I mean, because he could be making $30,000 but be living like he makes 6 figures because he knows how to balance and budget and handle his finances. So money is not everything, but money is a huge factor. And that's why a lot of relationships and marriages fail, because of money. You have people who do not know how to manage their money. And if you're talking to someone, dating someone who does not know how to manage their money, you need to run for the hills because it's not going to get better. Don't think you can jump in there and try to take control of it. First of all, that man is not, you're not even in a relationship, you're dating. Don't be giving him money. Don't be trying to take control of his finances and say, this is what you need. No, there's stages to this. There's levels to this. Okay, the dating stage, I don't have to help you with your finances. We're not in a relationship. And I wouldn't even get in a relationship with somebody if they cannot manage their finances, okay? Number 5, he hits you or calls you out your name playfully. So what I mean by that, there's nothing wrong with, you know, if you're pillow fighting or like you're playing tag or like just having fun, stuff like that. I'm saying if you are having an argument or a disagreement about something and I'm gonna hold my arm so you can see, and he like pinches you like this where it hurts because he got mad about something you said, or he might punch you on your arm or your thigh, or he might, you know, hit you like this or something. Pay attention to that, because if a man puts his hands on you one time, trust and believe he's gonna do it again, and this time he's gonna be busting you upside your head or throwing you against the wall. So if he is, you know, you're in an argument and he calls you a bitch, it's only going to get worse. So you check him on it the first time it happens. If it happens again, that's it. You need to get out, because guess what? It's going to continue to happen and it's going to escalate every single time. So if he's playfully doing stuff like that, I will put my foot down and say, that is not how I play. And if he has a problem with that, you need, like I said, go ahead and exit stage left, okay? Number 6, you catch him in white lies or he gaslights you. So I'm gonna use myself for example. I was dating somebody recently, and we talked every day, throughout the day, night, stuff like that. Okay, so he goes out of town, says nothing to me about it. I have no idea that he's out of town. I'm thinking, because he worked long shifts and stuff, so I'm thinking he's asleep or whatever, you know, because I texted him, didn't hear anything, right? So the day goes on, and I'm like, I usually hear from him by now, and it's crickets. Like, and I was worried, like, what I did, I would do for anybody, my best friend, my mama, anybody I talk to on a regular, consistent basis. As soon as something is out of the ordinary, it sends off a radar for me, and I turn into like investigator mode, okay? I was a journalism major. I'm gonna get to the bottom of stuff, okay? So long story short, I find out he went out of town and he left his phone in his friend's car or whatever. But he was able to contact his parents, let him know that he made it, and he left, like, he told his parents what was going on, but he did not have the same energy when it came to me and let me know nothing, okay? So I'm sitting here straight, don't know if he's dead, hurt, none of that. And then when he gets back, he's talking to me like nothing happened. So I'm like, no, we need to have a conversation about this. So he basically makes it seem like we did have a conversation that he was going to go out of town, and I just forgot. When I know in my gut, we had no conversation about it. So when they gaslight you, it's basically like they try to make it seem like you're the crazy one. They try to make it seem like you're the one that's just overreacting and making stuff up. When the truth is, they're hiding something and they're gaslighting it and trying to spin it around on you. So you make it so it seems like you're crazy, and you just say, okay, well, forget it. If they do stuff like that, like if they're like, well, I told you that I was going to John's house after work. Don't you remember? I told you that. Like, how did you forget that I told you where I was going after work? And you know y'all didn't have this conversation now. So you're like, oh, well, maybe he did tell me he was going to John's house and I did forget. But you know you didn't have the conversation. You know good and darn well he did not tell you that he was going to John's house. So it starts to make you second guess, and like, just like cheating, like the cheater tries to switch it and make it seem like it's you doing the cheating or you're the one doing stuff. And it's like, no, like it's not me. Like I'm not the one that's tripping, it's you. So that's gaslighting, when they just try to make it seem like it's you, okay? If they do stuff like that, run for it. Run for the hills, don't look back. Let them be somebody else's problem, okay? Number 7, I think I'm on. They do things or say things that lead you to sin. So I did a video, I don't know, a month or so ago about how Christians can be unequally yoked as well. So any man or woman who is truly from God and who is truly saved is not going to lead you into sin. They're not going to text you provocative pictures. They're not going to text you conversations where things concern sexual. Like, you guys are hanging out, they're not going to be kissing you and feeling all on your body and like trying to convince you that sex is okay. And if they don't all of that, they're not from God. Because the person who's truly from God, first of all, is abstinent, because they understand that God meant what he said about sex being between a husband and wife. And then second of all, they're going to have boundaries, and they're going to let you know what those boundaries are, and they're going to enforce those boundaries. So they're going to say, hey, look, I cannot Netflix and chill with you because for me, that leads to something else. Or I cannot listen to these kind of songs when I'm with you because it's going to lead to something. Okay, so they have those boundaries of things in place. So if they're from God, they are going to lead you to him. They're going to help strengthen your relationship with him. They're not going to pull you away from God and lead you down the road to destruction, okay? Trust me, I've been there. I got off track. Thank God, for his grace, mercy, and forgiveness, and got me back on track. And that's why now I'm like, no, I have my boundaries and I'm sticking to them. And if they have a problem with it, they're not for you. Goodbye. Okay? Number 8, they're against therapy. For me, that's a deal breaker. If you have never been to therapy, you have no interest in going to therapy, you can go talk to somebody else. And I say that because we all have trauma, we all have issues that we need to deal with, and that's another reason relationships fall apart. Is because you have two broken people trying to come together to make a whole, and they did not take the time to become whole as an individual, okay? So, and when you have problems in your relationship, you're gonna have to talk to other people, you're gonna have to go to counseling, and if they're up front out the gate already talking about they don't have no intention to go into therapy, then your relationship is going to suffer because they're not going to be willing to put in the work to make the relationship work. Relationships are work. They are not easy. You're going to have times where it's like, oh my gosh, are we ever gonna get over this hump? So your physical health is important. We take a lot of time taking care of ourselves physically, working out, eating right, getting sleep, all of that stuff. We take care of our spiritual health by having a relationship with God and reading our Bible and, doing all of those things. You have your financial health where you are, solid in your career and you're getting additional streams of income and, all of that stuff. And then you have your mental and emotional health. A lot of people neglect their mental and emotional health. That's why you keep having a toxic cycle, because you're not dealing with the root of your issues, and going to therapy helps you get to the root of your issues. I just finished my session with my therapist, and y'all, it changed my life. Like, I feel like I'm on a better, stronger path because I took the time to put my mental health first and get to the root of my issues, so that I can have healthy, thriving relationships, okay? So if they're against therapy, that is a red flag. You need to pay attention to it and ask questions, okay? Number 9, they can't celebrate you. So I remember I was in a relationship with a guy. My first serious relationship lasted longer than it needed to because it was not healthy at all. But he had a hard time celebrating me. He saw me as his competition instead of his partner. So if you are dating someone like that, where it could be like you got a promotion, or maybe like you've really been wanting to like work on your business or start your business, and now it's starting to pick up and take off. If they cannot celebrate that, they're not for you. That means they're jealous and insecure. And trust me when I say it's gonna lead to some kind of abuse. So if they cannot celebrate you and say, good job, baby, I'm so proud of you, you're awesome, like you're gonna rock it. Like if they can't do those things and they can't be there, like it maybe, you know, like somebody throws like a big party for it or what have you, and they can't celebrate that, they need therapy. Let them go. Number 10, this is the last one that I have. They're controlling or possessive. So if you're at a restaurant and they always got to order for you, like you can't order for yourself, if they are controlling, you know, in a sense like things have to be this way or it's the highway for them, if they want you all to themselves. Now I understand the early stages is great, it's a honeymoon phase, like you want to be around this person all the time and stuff like that, but I mean if they literally like will not let you hang out with your friends, will not let you go on vacations with your family, if they're controlling and possessive in that sense, trust me, they're going to be abusive and you need to go ahead and let them go. So anybody that's controlling you, anybody that's possessing you, like they have issues that they have not dealt with, and trust me, it's going to intensify. It's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. So those are the 10 red flags that I have that came to my mind. I'm sure there's more, and I will also say this: ask questions. And I'm not talking about superficial, what's your favorite color. I could care less what your favorite color is. I could care less what kind of candy you like. I could care less like your favorite vacation spot and all this. That's superficial, surface stuff. You need to get to the roots. So tell me about your relationship with God. What does that look like for you? Or tell me about your mom and your dad. How is your relationship with your parents? Like, are they still together? You know, and I'm not saying you got to do it like it's an interview, like you checking down those. Like, make it a fun, engaging conversation, but you're still asking questions, okay? And when they tell you something and it sends up your radar or your red flag, ask a follow-up question. So do not be afraid to ask questions, because a real man and a real woman are not going to get upset because you're asking them hard questions. Kings and queens have no problem answering hard questions. High-value men and women that people talk about have no problem answering questions. People who are hiding something and who are abusers and manipulators are the ones that are afraid of questions and get an attitude when you ask them. And if they have a problem answering the questions, that's your sign right there that they are hiding something and they're toxic and don't even bother asking any more questions and trying to go on any more dates. Okay? So I hope that this video was helpful. Like I said, there are more red flags, but those were the 10 that came to me. I will have my stuff in the description box: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. All that stuff will be in the description box, and I will see you all next time for a brand new video. Enjoy your Sunday. Have an amazing work week, and I will see you all next time. God bless.